The weeks cover is pretty simple actually. It says that based on the current rate of sale, how long will it take me to sell through all of my stock? Yeah. So in seasonal retail, which is where we specialise, then it'll be, let's say it's 26 weeks for spring summer. So if that sets the marker at 26 weeks at the start of the season, I want to be selling at a rate that ensures that by the time I'm at the end of the season, I've got rid of all of my stock. Now, if that number is higher than 26, then that means I'm over inventoried. I'm going to be left with product at the end of the season. And if it's a lot lower, then I'm selling too fast. And there are many reasons why that could be, but some of the most common ones are if it's extending out, then in the market something's changed in the world around you. The market's changed. Maybe it's changed its price. And that could be point in time, so you've got to get your head up and have a look around. See if your rivals, your competition are selling it for less than you're selling it. And then you've got to make a decision now. Well, who is that company that's doing that? What's the likelihood that they've got deep inventory on that? Are they going to have a little or are they going to have a lot? Because if it's just a little, you can just ride it out. Because they'll sell out quite quickly, so you can hold the line. Except that you're not going to move that much for the next couple of days. But then once that's sold through, you're back in the game. So you don't always have to track the price, as it were. You've got to make a decision. But if someone's a lot bigger than you, then the likelihood is they've got a lot more of it than you, if you know, yeah. And so you've got to make a decision now. It's like, do I want to be precious about it and hold on to it until the end of the season, where I'm going to have to clear it down anyway? It's going to be at the lowest value in the marketplace. Or do I adjust it now to try and stimulate sales again? So that's weeks cover. Weeks cover is a simple metric that says, based on the rate of sale I've got right now, how long will it take me to sell through my stock? Yeah? The achieved margin is an average. Well, you think of it as an average achieved margin. So you get your best margin at the start of the season when people like me want all the shiny new things and not bothered about what the price is. Well, we want to pay a fair price, but it's not the thing that's motivating me the most. Is how cheap can I get this thing? It's like, how convenient, how available is it? Can I have it now? That's me. And then there are other people that hold their breath for far longer and hope that it's still there at the end of the season where they can get it on a deal. But as a retailer, you want as little of that as possible at the end of the season, and you want to move through it at good margin over time, accepting that the world around you is going to change and you're going to have to tweak it here and there. But to lose a little bit of margin midway through the season is better than having too much of it left that you're going to have to slash and burn at the end. So between the two of them, keeping an eye on weeks cover, how long will it take me to sell through my stock, and the margin, the target margin you've set for yourself. Let's say I want to make at least 32% margin on this product throughout the entire season, that you can adjust over time to respond to the market. But you need that data in a system in order to do it. So that, I think that's the thing that where your instincts might tell you, I bought this well, it's doing well, but like, how much money are you really making on it? How many deals are you having to do to get it to go out the door? It's like, so understanding that means a collection of data. If you're not collecting it in a system, then I think that the chances of you being able to know just on instinct across your entire product profile how everything's performing is pretty slim. So collecting the data is really important. Yeah, so like if it's the start of the season and it's not moving as fast as you'd like, it might be just that you're a little bit ahead of the curve and you have to promote that product a little bit harder to get it into the eyeballs of the people that are intended to be buying it. You think, oh, I know that my audience likes this product, but maybe they don't know about it yet. So at the start, if it's a little bit slower than your 26 weeks, because the world's not perfect, is it? So that'd be great if you started and it just went dick, 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 all the way to the end of the season and you didn't have any left. That'd be amazing. Well, it's not really the way that it works, but at the beginning, you've got the luxury of time, haven't you? So you can make a different decision. You can say, okay, I'm going to push this a little bit harder. I'm going to put it in my email newsletters. I'm going to put it on my social media. Promote the product. I'm going to focus it on the homepage. I'm going to make it I'm going to spend good money on it in my Google Shopping campaign. So I'm going to attract people to this product whilst the margin's there to afford it. So it's like, if you got 50% at the beginning of the season, you got 50% of margin in that product. We got more money to spend to drive interest in it, so you can afford to play a little bit harder. At the end of the season, when you're getting to that point where here comes the sale. You know what I mean? If you've still got, like, at this point in time, you've got 20% in it, but you're going to have 10 at the end, just adjusting it by a couple of percent to bring it back into line so you're competitive on price again, means that you're protecting that difference between over inventory with a high discount. I'm going to shift more of it now by just making a slight adjustment. And yeah, that happens a lot. That's what the power of that report is. So I was talking to one of our customers, and they'd seen a slowdown. So like using the weeks cover, it stretched out. We talked about 26 weeks. So let's say that's what we're talking about. Yeah, that they're getting to the end of the season, and the distance to closing the product out. So like rather than being in line with the end of the season for weeks cover, it started to stretch out beyond that point. So rather than, let's say, 6 weeks, it had gone to 12. So the rate at which they were selling had slowed down significantly. It's like, why? So looking at that report triggers a behaviour for them. They're so used to using it that let's go out and have a look at like our rivals, our competition. Because not everybody that sells what you sell is a rival or competition. Yeah. So, but there are businesses that you go, they're on my watch list, as it were. I'll go and check them out. And if they've changed something, I need to take into consideration based on where I am in the season, what my achieved margin is, how much inventory I've got, how I react to it. So we go out and they take a look, and yeah, it turns out that someone's just nudged the price a little bit. But it's pretty close to the end of the season, so it's like, well, it's time to go now, because otherwise I'm going to have to drop it even further at the end. There's no point holding on to this. Start to tweak the dials. And within 24 hours, just having made that observation, that reaction, and then taking that action, sales had started to flow through again, and that had shrunk back into line, so they were going to be clear by the end of the season. And I think that's the power of that data, that report, when you get used to using it, and then letting it instruct you or guide you towards making good decisions for your business. That's really good. That's really exciting, because they were going to be over inventoried. The report we wrote tells them that's what's going to be the case. Then they look at that and they go, go take a look in the marketplace, make an adjustment, and then the sales start to flow again. That's brilliant. So rather than losing margin by over inventory at the end of the season, so like losing a great proportion of margin, they made a small adjustment now, lost a little bit of margin, but maintained the majority of what it was, so that they weren't dragging down that overall achieved margin that they set for themselves as the target at the start of the season. That's brilliant.
Citrus Lime.